Hey everybody, Donkey Storm here, and we're almost 2 weeks into Shadowlands Mythic Plus Season 4, so I figured it's time to start going in depth on some of these new, old dungeons and how to time them. So today I'm going to take you through a Mechagon Workshop 20 on my Holy Priest. We're going to talk about what mechanics to worry about, how to heal this dungeon, and look at the good and bad of my play on this run. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and check out my stream Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, 9 o'clock Pacific, to see some live keys. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so what you're going to notice right off the bat here is we're going to start with the kind of interesting strategy. You'll probably see more and more of this as the season goes on, but our tank's going to hop down and just solo the first pull. This trivializes the first pull for sure, which can otherwise be a little nasty. I'm not a tank and I don't really know what's going on down there, but I did find a video and linked it in the description in case you would like to see how that's done. While he takes care of that, let's talk talents and stuff. So I'm going to be running the typical Mythic Plus Holy Priest talents, and I'm also running Night Fae. If you need any more info on those, check the description for my Holy Priest guides, but we're going to just get right into the dungeon here. And as soon as this guy is done soloing this stuff, we'll jump down and get into boss number 1. So this is the second week of Mythic Plus Season 4. The affixes are Fortified, Sanguine, Grievous, and of course Shrouded. So, you know, in week 2, people are still kind of figuring out routes and strategies and, you know, how to min-max everything. So this is by no stretch a perfect run, but it's clean enough, and I think it should give you a pretty good example of some of the big things to look out for in Workshop. So there's definitely going to be mistakes in here, and I can learn from those, and hopefully you can too. But so anyway, we're going to be getting into the first boss here shortly once all this stuff is dead. So the first boss here is not too bad. So we've got 2 bosses. We've got the Platinum Pummeler and No Mercy for You. You're going to see here in a second. I'm going to mark... Our tank isn't marked yet, and I'm going to mark him because range can be an issue in this fight. You want to make sure that you can find your tank at all times because he could be anywhere around this platform. While the DPS are going to be mainly focusing on No Mercy for You. So... the big thing as a healer to look out for here is the flame vents. There are these blades that come out of the wall and sort of zip all around the room. They don't hurt that bad. You just got to be careful they don't knock you into anything that's like worse. They can be tricky to dodge. The easiest way to dodge them is to be toward the bigger squares, like in the center. But like in this case, you can see my tank's out of range. That's not really an option right now. So you might get hit by some. You just got to kind of live with it. So that ability we just saw there is Flame Vents from No Mercy for You. It's going to pulse pretty heavy AoE. That's going to definitely require some healing on your part. I think I fat-fingered Apotheosis there, which is kind of funny. Luckily, I don't think I'll desperately need it anywhere in this key, or at least in this fight. But you need to watch out for those flame vents. That can take people down. Also, if melee or anybody for that matter gets hit by the flames coming out of the car, then you're probably going to die. Now, I also know here our Ret Pally is going to fall over in just a moment. The reason is the Pummeler is going to do right there, that whirlwind thing. And I think the Pally was on the Pummeler because the flames were coming out of the car, so he just kind of got one shot. Not much you can do there. So, you know, as a healer, don't beat yourself up about it. Just keep on healing. So we battle res that guy, and then we're off to the races. As soon as No Mercy for You goes down, the Pummeler on its own is pretty easy, and this isn't one of those fights where you need to worry about killing them at the same time. One thing I will say, it's similar to a lot of Season 4 dungeons in that a lot of the healing is like in the front end of the fight rather than later on, which is kind of unique compared to what we've been doing mostly during Shadowlands. So don't be afraid to pop some healing cooldowns during those flame vents, because that's the only thing you're going to need them for, really, in this fight if everybody plays their cards right. So healing cooldowns early and often on this boss, and really I would say many bosses in Season 4 start out really hard, and then you kill one of them or something happens and they actually get easier over time. So in this next section, the trash section, we're mainly going to be looking out for frontals and line of sighting explosions. So the waste processing units do a frontal ability that I think one-shots, or it hurts a lot. You can see it there, process waste. So you're going to want to stay out of... Honestly, if you're a healer, that can stay out of melee range, you really should just stay out of melee range, because they also do like an AoE circle around them that you'll need to run out of. So as a priest, I'm just keeping my distance, and then I don't even have to worry about this stuff. Obviously, just watching out for that sleep puddle. The creepy thing about the sleep puddle is not that it's so dangerous on its own, but that it can cause you to get hit by other mechanics, or it could cause you to like waste a dispel on someone that you're really better off using on something else. So you can see there's process waste again. I think the tank can just keep that turned away. But if you keep your distance, you don't have to worry about it. And then Mega Drill, you can see there is the ground circle. So these living wastes that are joining the fight here explode when they die. Now you can see I'm like way overly cautious here, and I started line of sighting, honestly, way too soon. Because even after they die, then their cast begins. You've got a moment to get away. I don't know if he meant to pull those there, but he did, and it worked out, so that's good. But always make sure you're line of sighting those when they blow up, because like any reasonably high key level, they're gonna one-shot. So we're gonna have another group of them here. And I think I'm just being overly cautious here. This is a 20. Right before this, I did a 21. The 21 was with a different group, and that was sort of disastrous. So I think I'm a little gun shy here. Line of sighting super early, but honestly, like early, and then we had looks like we had another mob pull unexpectedly, which cost our Ret Pally his life, perhaps. But yeah, I think sooner is better than later if you're gonna line of sight this stuff. Once you get more used to it, and we've run the dungeon a million times, you can pop over there at the last possible second. But here in week 2, I'm still playing it pretty safe. And that kind of goes for DPS too. So I'm playing Night Fae. Night Fae's DPS is pretty bad, but it's got a lot of good things going for it, like cooldown reduction and damage reduction and mana back, which are all nice. For Season 4, you've got your Seed, which is really nice, as you get used to dungeons you're maybe not as familiar with. So I'm all about Night Fae right now. I think I'll probably go Kyrian later on when damage becomes more of an issue. So this waste processing unit apparently has a mind of its own, and just frontaled down two of our boys here, which is unfortunate. And I don't think I've mentioned yet, this is a pug. This is not like an organized group in any sense. So, this is probably pretty similar to what you can expect to run into in Yorkies. So we're going to invis past this group of slimes here. I've never done this skip before. I don't know if it's really worth it. It doesn't really seem to be that worth it, but we did it, and it worked out. So I guess kudos to our tank for coming up with that idea, or wherever it came from. And then we get Zolgamux here, our little mini boss. And we're just gonna, take the year and a half to kill him. But yeah, I would say that erring on the side of defensiveness and healing versus damage in Season 4 is better than it has been in a really long time. Because there's so much damage that goes out in these keys. This one's not even one of the worst ones. I'd say Workshop is sort of somewhere in the middle of difficulty of the new dungeons, but there's some like Iron Docks where there's just so much damage going out, and you're not even gonna get a chance hardly to use your boon. So yeah, if you like Night Fae, I do have a video about it linked in the description. I think it's pretty good right now. I see a lot of the really high level priests using it, so yeah, don't be afraid to Fae it up. You've got your soul shape too, which is always nice. All right, so we're going into Cujo here. This is I would say, super easy boss, as long as you know what to do. So there's really 3 mechanics here. The first one is the box mechanic. So he's going to do, what's it called? We're going to find out here in a second. It's like venting flames, where he's just going to pulse a huge AoE, just hide behind the box to avoid it. And that's that. He also does a dispellable debuff, like you can see right there on the tank. You need to dispel that immediately. That thing will chunk your tank. And then the trickiest part that can wipe some groups that don't know what to do. So when a new box drops, you want to stand far away from it, because when he does that, his little charge, if the box is in the way, he'll destroy it. And that's an automatic wipe. So once he does one charge, you know Flame Vents is coming next, so you can just hide behind the box. The pattern's always the same. It's charge, Flame Vents, charge, Flame Vents. And the only thing you're going to need healing for is the charge. So, you can use your healing cooldowns there if you need to. And once the charge goes out, there shouldn't be any more damage, so you have time to get people up. It's not that scary. It looks a little scary as like people drop to 40% or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to have time to heal them back up. So as soon as that charge goes out, you can start heading over toward the box. You won't have any more charges coming. There's no randomness to this fight. It's very cyclical, so it's easy to predict when you're going to need to do healing. Just make sure that when a new box comes down, you're always away from it, because that will, one mistake in that sense and you're toast. There's really no coming back from that one. So even though it's easy, it's very unforgiving if you do make a mistake. So yeah, always dispel that buff. I'm having some line of sight issues there, but always dispel that debuff off your tank immediately. It does a ton of damage. So that's pretty much going to do it for our puppy Cujo here, and then we'll head up into the next area. You got to do a little bit of platforming here. And we're going to see another example of this later. Anytime you have to do some kind of little platformy thing like this in a dungeon, just slow and steady always wins the race. Like, usually it's just bait to try and go too fast, and you fall off or you get hit or, something bad happens. So, like, even though I use my soul shape here, I probably could have just walked because I'm too timid to try and port through one of these. And also looks like I missed an easy Warlock portal. Well, at least the Hunter did too. I don't feel as bad. So you can also walk on the rails here if you're, brave enough, and then you won't be slowed down by the conveyor belt. But I honestly feel like slow and steady is going to win the race there. Unless you're pushing like world first keys or something, just try not to fall off. So this next part's sort of like a little gauntlet with trash that you're going to start to see a lot more of as this dungeon goes on. So after the Alarmo bot goes down, you get these Tinkerers, and we're going to start to see some of the things we're going to get used to for the rest of the dungeon. So we've got this Giga Wallop, and we've got the anti-personnel squirrel, which puts a squirrel swirl on the ground that you need to just get out of. That's going to pretty much do it for the first wave. The first wave's not too bad. There's definitely worse things to come. So I would probably save any healing cooldowns because you're going to want them for the next pack. So yeah, get out of the squirrel swirl. Hopefully you get some kicks on the Giga Wallop, but it's not the end of the world if those go off either. And this next pack is definitely one of the more dangerous ones. You're going to have I think they're called defense bots, and we're going to see a bunch of those between now and the end of the dungeon. Yeah, the defense bots. So they put a debuff on people that hurts a lot. Make sure you dispel that as soon as possible. If you're playing a priest like me, mass dispel is so good here. And just rotate that with your regular dispel and try to get as much of those debuffs off as you can. These guys hurt quite a bit. Every pull involving these guys is a little bit scary. So, this is sort of your preview. You're going to try and get those dots off as much as you can. Use a defensive if you can't. I pop Apotheosis here. just to be safe. There's nothing coming for a while that you're going to need it for otherwise, so you can definitely pop that here and be totally good. And we're just keeping everybody up. And then after that, we're going to get one more type of mob. That's sort of like a big mini boss version of what we'll see later on. It's kind of spider robot thing. And he's going to put the Blastatron X80 is going to put some orange swirlies on the ground that you just move out of. He's going to turn and do like a frontal laser beam that I just moved out of the way of there. You don't want to get hit by that. It hurts quite a bit. And then this is the tricky one. He'll turn like 3/4 of the room blue, and obviously you want to not stand in the blue. I personally have a really hard time seeing this one. So, if you can't see the ground very well, then follow your teammates, I guess, is the next best thing you can do. I don't know if there's like something wrong with my setting or my eyes or something, but I have a tough time with that one. And even watching this video, it's a little bit hazy for me. It's not super clear. So yeah, if you can't see that, just, follow your team. And if they all go to one area, chances are that's probably where you want to go. But there's nothing else to do during that part of the mob, like, except for look for that. So just drop everything and watch that floor. All right, so I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit during this part, because what would a Mechagon be without this? Again, slow and steady, guys, wins the race with these, silly little platformers, dodging things. We derp this pretty hard in an otherwise clean run. So yeah, right here I get caught between two of them. And sent back to the beginning. We're also going to somehow, I'm not sure who, if it's me or somebody else, or this Dreadlord over here in the corner just gets tired of seeing us mess this up. He just decides to go active. And I'm not sure. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here. Like, I don't know what caused him to pop out there, but he beats on me, so I fade, and he runs over to the tank, and the tank gets knocked into the electric bot, and of course, he gives the no, and then there's 2 DPS up here that are fighting him with no tank, and I'm standing in the smoke trying to get to them. So this gets pretty, and then I run into a sleep puddle. Thank goodness for Undead Racial, and we somehow managed to salvage this like really derpy situation here. Good thing we have a tanky warlock, I guess. I have never seen this happen before, and I probably will never see it happen again. I guess just know there's a Dreadlord over there, and like don't make him angry with you. But this silly little, I don't want a puzzle or a maze or whatever you want to call it. It's obviously cost us a ton of time here, and we're lucky that most of the actual hard part of the dungeon goes pretty smoothly. So we are going to recover from this. And then just a word of advice: unless you're trying to troll, which is acceptable, don't life grip people through the detect bots, because it will send them back to the beginning. If you want to troll people, though, that's a great way to do it. But otherwise, just wait for them to finish it. So here my group's just like, should we wait for the last guy? Should we go? And I'm like, let's wait, because this pull is kind of scary. And this pull is kind of scary. You've got the Tinkerers and the defense bots in here. You've also got an Infiltrator. So there's just going to be a lot of dispelling, a lot of, shockwavy stuff going out. So getting that debuff off people right away is, super important. Dodging the squirrel swirl, also important. And fortunately for me, my pug group here just did a fantastic job of like locking these things down, and the hunter's doing 75k DPS and the warlock's doing 50. So GG OP DPS classes, but yeah, they just absolutely melted that pack, which is nice, especially on a fortified week. And that's going to bring us to the Mechanists Garden. So this one is like just a good old don't stand in the fire boss. For the most part, you do need to get these plants dead ASAP. And other than that, it's really just about dodging. And from a healer perspective, the better your group dodges, the less panic healing you have to do, the easier it is to dodge yourself. My group's doing a pretty solid job here. I know we all get nicked a little bit by the spinning gears. One thing to note about the spinning gears, if you get hit by one, like I did right there, you might notice I just walked right back through it, because if you get hit by one, you have sort of like a little invincibility window to that gear. So if you're ever in a position where you might get hit by another one, go back and get hit by the same one rather than a new one, because that will do full damage and possibly kill you. So, don't get hit by them at all, obviously, if you can. But if you do have a moment, like an invincibility window before the same gear can hit you again. So you can take advantage of that. The fire laser beams is obviously just, kind of run and not get hit by them. There's not a whole lot to say about this guy other than that. The less your group's getting hit, the easier it's going to be for you. And just, try and keep your cool and get your DPS and tank alive. Grievous definitely does add a element of difficulty to anything. It's always kind of unfortunate when it's Grievous fortified, because it makes some of the bosses feel like way harder than they should on a fortified weekend. This one's not so much, but there are some, like the last boss of Grimrail Depot, which is even on a fortified week with Grievous kind of sucks. So that video is coming soon too. So with that Mechanists Garden down, we got 2 spider tanks here. These are very similar to the big spider tank we fought at the end of the gauntlet. So all you have to worry about on these guys is their frontal beam. So you can see one tried to blast me right there and it just strafed to the side. That'll stun you and do a bunch of damage, so you don't want that, so just dodge it. And it's pretty common that people are gonna double pull this. So yep, just stay out of the way and you will be good to go. And then we're gonna be approaching possibly the hardest part of the dungeon. Definitely rough on fortified, that's for sure. After we get these guys down. So we're going to kill our spider tanks. We're going to go up into the little gnome machine here and fly onto the final boss tower. And we're going to have some nasty trash pulls here. And we will be kind of showcasing the best way to skip right here in a moment. I don't know if it can be invised, but it can be warlock portaled, and that's the only way I've done it so far. But yeah, but you do have to kill this first one. So we've got the defense bots again, and the tinkers, and then we've also got these defenders that put up the shield generator. So the tank needs to kite them out of that, or they take reduced damage, which is obviously bad. You as the healer need to make sure you're dispelling the debuff. You've got the squirrel swirl to worry about right there. So something there went off and killed our poor Ret Pally again. And I think I probably could have been a little bit faster with Guardian Spirit there. So that's my mistake. Probably could have saved him if I had been a little bit quicker. But, can't beat yourself up over that stuff. Just keep on healing. So we can see that Sanguine is really ruining our day here with these defense bots and personnel bots just getting healed so much. And it's tough to keep them out of that. They do a lot of like hard cast stuff that it can't be interrupted. So we're doing what we can. We're trying to keep the debuffs off people. It is totally 100% a good idea to use healing cooldowns here. I know I popped Apotheosis earlier. The first phase of the boss is not too bad, so you don't need to feel pressured to save them for that or anything. I would definitely send it all here for this pack, because this pack is pretty smelly. So we're finally taking it down, heading into the last boss with 730 left, and our Warlock is going to put a very nicely placed portal down. They do need to make sure they do this correctly, because you can aggro the boss. You can mind soothe there, and I was about to do it, but when I saw him go through and safely, I didn't seem necessary. So anyway, we got King Mechagon here, which is like a 2 1/4 phase fight. The first one, he's in his little jetpack thing here, and there's those 4 orbs around the room, and what you want to do is just like I did there, you need to dodge the swirly, but you also want to watch the arrow and not get hit by them while they're like en route to that spot. So the arrow shows where they're going to go, so you want to position yourself so you're not going to get hit at the end or on the way. If though you're in some kind of position where you can't, you have to choose one or the other, getting hit in transit is not as dangerous as getting hit by the final like blast. You also see this Giga Blast going out. There's nothing you can do to dodge that, so use a defensive and just be prepared to heal that person, because they're going to take a lot of damage, especially on a tyrannical week. And just watch those orbs. So you can see there that the Warlock got hit by an orb and the Giga Zap, and he almost died. So if this were tyrannical, we'd be rezzing him right now. So this phase kind of builds up toward our second one, where he's gonna talk about furniture, and then he's gonna blast off into his big giant mech. Oh, and then there's this too. He's gonna fixate someone and like fly toward them. It is not dangerous, just never be directly under him. If you're directly under him, you're gonna have a bad time. Right, so he's gonna get in his big mech, and he's gonna continue to do the orbs moving around, so you're always gonna have to watch those. And he's also gonna do a Giga Zap now. Still hurts a lot, but the difference is it can hit other people. So what happened there was bad. If you get Giga Zap, ideally, you just want to stand still and let others move out of the way. Now what happened there was I got it, and then someone near me got it, and I didn't think he was going to move, and then the last second he moved. And I think he moved because he was dodging an orb. So that's just kind of tough luck. You know, if you're super quick and you can watch the orbs and the Giga Zap and path it correctly, good. Every once in a while, you'll, get in a sticky situation like that. And it can be deadly. You don't want to get hit by 2 consecutive ones. That's really bad. That'll kill you. And it's fortunate I had my seed there. But other than that, we recover. We're going to dodge these orbs. And eventually he's going to do a magneto arm where he'll pull everything toward one part of the room, and you'll have to do like a little bit of healing on the run. So main thing to remember here is if you get the Giga Zap, don't panic. You can't move out of it. In fact, you should try to stay as still as possible so other people can move out of your beam. So these orbs are flying all over the place. Giga Zap's going out. We're still waiting. There it is, magneto arm. So this is going to pull you and all of the orbs toward a fixed position in the room. So watch out for that. And then when he dies, he's just going to hop down. He's going to try to punch you, but you're going to punch him harder, and GG. So that was Workshop Key, and I hope you guys learned something from that run. I always learn things by going back and looking at my runs and seeing things I did good or not so good. So if I missed any key stuff, please leave a comment, and that way your buddies can learn from that too. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.